welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and this is the Bookish Brew. Today we are going to talk about my August wrap-up. So let's start with, I'm going to do these a little different this time. I'm going to give you some stats. So I read a total of 11 books in the month of August. Total pages read was 4,030. And then total average per day was 130 pages a day. Most read genre was young adult. Star breakdown, I had 0 5 stars, 3 4.5 stars, 4 4 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 1 3 star, and 1 2.5 star. So I had an average star rating of 3.8. 7 physical books, 3 audio, and 1 ebook. My genre breakdown was 3 contemporary romances, 2 fantasy romance, 1 dark romance, 1 fantasy, 1 mystery, and 3 young adult. So let's get into some of the books I read for the month of August. First book that I read, or one of the first books that I read in August, was A Magnolia Homecoming by Anne-Marie Meyer. This book follows Clementine and Sherry. And Clementine is from this town, Magnolia. She lived there her whole life. And she's trying to determine what her life is going to continually look like. She is tired of living in the small town, tired of running the family business, but feels like she's stuck. So it follows her story, and then Sherry, who has imagined life in a certain way, and she can't think outside of that bubble, but she feels like her world is collapsing around her. And so it follows both these women and their story in this small town. This is part of the Red Stiletto book club series. Dogs! And it's not a very long book. It's like 220 pages. It's not super long. It's a quick read, but it's such a wholesome story. I really did enjoy it. I felt like the story was well written. And it's, like I said, very wholesome, small town, romance type. It is in a series. I think there's 6 or 7 books in the series. So I'm slowly kind of going through the series. I would recommend it if you liked A Heart of Dixie on Prime. It's very similar vibes to that. I did give it a 3.5 star rating. I didn't like it as much as I liked the first one, but it was still overall a really good book. Next book that I read was The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And this one is the 4th book out of 5 in the Inheritance Games series. This is a YA, and it follows Jameson and Grayson, 2 of the 4 brothers. And it Jameson is the risk taker and player of games out of the 4 brothers. And he connects with his father, who asks him to do a favor to infiltrate a London's most exclusive underground gambling club. And so it's his journey on finding himself through that and connecting closer to his dad. Then it also follows Grayson, who is always family focused first. And he is a protective brother, and he connects with his 2 half-sisters on his dad's side. And so it's his journey through that. I did feel like it was a pretty fast-paced book. It was engaging. I part listen, part read on this one. And I feel like I don't know that I would have gotten through it if I had just read it. It was fast-paced and engaging, but I think mostly due to I was also reading along with the audio, and I felt like the audio was very well done. I enjoyed the writing style. It's a really easy series to follow. I will say I enjoyed the first 3 books more so than this one, but overall I felt like it was really good. Um, a really good book. I did give it a 4 out of 5, mainly because the overall theme in this was, deciding what will they sacrifice to win. And I thought that was a really good, interesting theme on this. So this is the second one, or one of the ones I read in August. Then next up, I read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. And it follows Iris and Roman through a war. They're both journalists, and this is like a friends to lovers, or enemies to lovers trope. I did really enjoy this one. I felt it was definitely well written, and I'm curious to move on to the second one, because something happens at the end that leaves you kind of hanging, wanting to know more. It is not a long book. It's a little over 300 pages. Pretty quick read. Definitely liked Rebecca Ross's writing in this book. So I definitely will pick up the second one soon. I did give this one a 4-star rating. Wasn't quite 5-star feelings, simply because there was some points in here that I felt like were long and drawn out. Didn't necessarily need to be, but it was definitely YA feeling for sure. But it was good. The next book that I read was Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. So this is the first book I've ever read by this author, and I absolutely devoured this book. I read it in one weekend. I could not put it down. It was, this is a dark romance, but it was also like a mystery too. This one follows Sawyer and Enzo. Sawyer is a troubled woman who is running from her own life, and something that she did in her past is following her, but rightfully so. What she did, I feel like, was justified, but she's running from it, and she runs into Enzo in this town in Australia, and he is a shark marine biologist, and he has his life together, but Sawyer does something to Enzo, and now he's like he becomes really mad at her, but also really likes her. So it's a bad combination. It Majority of this book takes place on an island where they crash their ship or their boat on this island with a lighthouse, and they meet the guy in the lighthouse who has lived there and has some really dark secrets, and it's about their time on this island while they're waiting for rescue, and it's all leads up to what the big secrets are, and how does Sawyer get her life back after what has happened in her past. So I felt like it was a really good book. I did tab a little bit in it, just some of the parts that I really hit for me. I am interested to read more of H.D. Carlton in the future. I know that her Haunting Adeline series, duology, is really popular, so I'm curious to pick that one up. I did give this one a 4-star. The only reason I didn't give it a 5-star, and it probably could be 4.5-star. The only reason I didn't give it a 5 is because there was some things about Enzo's personality that I didn't like. And I also felt like the romance, spicy scenes were just too much. Like it was just overdid in that area. But overall, I feel like the overall storyline was really good. So I definitely recommend this one if you are interested in dark romance. What we'll talk about is The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. I did listen to this on audio. It is a very super short listen, and I was just kind of perusing Libby for something short to listen to. It's less than 200 pages. That's how short this is. But this one follows Peter and Wendy. This is a Peter Pan retelling, reimagining, and it's a dark romance. This book follows Wendy, who is a darling, and Peter Pan is Peter Pan, like in our story. But he takes the darlings to help try to find his shadow. He's lost his shadow and he's trying to find it. And these darlings are supposed to help do this. And this has gone on for hundreds of years. And he takes Wendy, and now Wendy and Peter have connected on a deeper level. This is a dark romance. I did feel like more of the plot could have gone with this than just the spice scenes. I did feel like the spice scenes were overdone and too frequent. Like that's really what the main part of the book was. I liked the storyline of Peter trying to find his shadow, but it almost felt like it could have been more to the plot than just the spice scene. So overall, pretty decent book. I did like the writing style, the description and straightforwardness of it. I just didn't feel like it wasn't the plot wasn't as fleshed out as I would have liked. The next I read was A Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I did listen to this one complete on audio through Libby, and I would have, like, thinking back on it, I would have rather liked to have read it physically than just audibly. Not that anything was wrong with the audio. It just was not, it was a little harder for myself to follow. But it follows Kayla, who is kind of socially awkward. She doesn't deal with people very well, but she is connected to this magical spider plant named Kaz. And they're like best friends. And she is a librarian in the city that she lives in. But then the city goes up in flames, and she has to grab all of her spell books that she can possibly get her hands on and runs to the next town that she can get to. And it happens to be her hometown that she never thought she'd get to again. But while she's there, she wants to open up a spell shop, but it's not legal. And so she finds a way to basically have it hidden, but still be useful. And so she opens up a jam shop. And it's about their journey together in this town. It is a romantic comedy. It's super cute. I definitely recommend the novel. I, again, would have liked to have picked it up physically instead of audibly. That I read was A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, and this is a Hades and Persephone retelling. I own the book physically, and I did read it physically. My mother-in-law actually has it right now, but I actually really did enjoy this story. I did give it a 3.5-star rating, mainly because I felt like Hades' point of view wasn't there. So it was like missing an element. I would have liked to have seen the novel written in multi-point of view. But so when I continue the series, I will do tandem read and see if that flushes out the plot a little bit more. But I definitely liked the storyline. I thought it was super cute. And I'm interested and curious to read more on that one. The other one that I read was The Coworker by Frida McFadden, which I also own. My mother-in-law is borrowing. I read that one physically and digitally on my Kindle. I did give it a 4-star. That book is my first Frida McFadden I've ever read, and that book was something else. This book follows Dawn, who is an accountant for this company that sells vitamins, and Dawn is a very particular person, and that woman, there's something wrong with her, I feel like. She's definitely very different than I'm used to in any kind of characters I've read, but she's like has this huge obsession with turtles. And the first part of this book is about her obsession with turtles and everything turtle. And I'm like, what is the point of this? And I felt, I felt like the author was going to get to some point of why she was obsessed with turtles. And she does get to the point eventually, but it also follows Natalie, and this is a dual point of view, but it's also a murder thriller. So it's time jumps back in time for Dawn's point of view, and then Natalie, who's current time point of view. And Natalie is a salesperson for these vitamins, but she has a history of being very cruel and mean to those that are not normal or the average person. And so I really liked Frida McFadden's writing in this story. I also felt like I was on the edge of my seat about halfway through in trying to figure out the whodunit. And I was not prepared for the twist that happened. It completely threw me, and I had a what the F moment. So it's definitely a very good book to pick up if you're into thrillers. I want to read more of Frida McFadden books. The plot twist, I think, is what gets. Next one I read was A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, and this one was a gut punch. It pulled at all the heartstrings. I absolutely loved this book. I did listen to this one audibly and finished it on my Kindle, but this one follows Poppy and Ruin, and their friends to lovers is the trope in this one, and it is a YA, but it touches on something very real about getting sick and falling in love with somebody and helping them through this tough spot in life. I did do a reading blog on this one, so I will link it down below if you'd like to go see my full thoughts on it. But I did really enjoy it. I did give it a 4.5 star. It might have been almost a 5-star. I definitely spent the last 80 pages crying. So definitely worth the read. I don't know that I will pick up the second one in this series, but it is definitely a very good story. The next one that I read was So Not Meant to Be by Megan Quinn. This is the second in the Kane Brothers trilogy, and I just love Megan Quinn's writing. She is so funny. I laugh out loud every time I've read her books. I've only read 2, but both of them made me crack up. I also did a reading blog on this one if you want the full thoughts on this as well. But I did give this one a 4-star rating only because I felt like some of the context in the book part of the plot was kind of more drawn out than it needed to be. But it was overall a really good story. I would definitely recommend, if you've not picked up anything by Megan Quinn, pick her books up. Go get them. They're hilarious. So I did read this one. And then the last book that I will talk about was The last book that I'll talk about is The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. This one was kind of shocking to me. I really did enjoy this book. This follows Kristen and what is the guy's name? And Josh. Kristen and Josh. I definitely felt like this was a very cute romance, friends to lovers book. But there's something that happens in this book that really shocked me, and it made me tear up. Like, I was genuinely sad for the characters in this series, in this book. This is the first in the Friend Zone series, so I will be picking up the next ones. I did overall think it was a really good one, and again, I did have this in a reading vlog, so more thoughts on that if you click the video below. Overall, I really, really did enjoy it. So for the month of August, I had some really good reads, some not so great, but no 5 stars. Nothing that just like blew me away, that I was just like loved every aspect of it. But overall, a really good, successful reading month for as busy as I was in August. So if you made it this far in the video, why don't you leave me a heart emoji in the comments? Tell me if any of these books you want to pick up for August or for September, or in months coming up. If you've read some and you liked or didn't like it, give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Please like, subscribe. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. All the details are linked down in the description below. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.